You think that morality is true dependent upon God's stance or independent of God's stance?
Ultimately, it's grounded in God.
Okay, so it's subjective.
God is a subject. Yeah, God is a subject.
No, that's not a subjective argument.
Right, so this debate. You need to watch this one all the way through because Parker asks one question, just one, and it completely breaks the conversation open. We've got two atheists versus two conservative Christians. Piers Morgan hosting, and the topics get heated fast. But the moment near the end? I mean, it's one of the cleanest philosophical traps I've ever seen someone walk right into. Let's get into it.
Jay, is it a great moment, a great cultural victory that the R word is back, which obviously is short for, it's retarded, it's mentally retarded, it's for people who are mentally impaired. It was used in a derogatory way against people who are mentally impaired. Why would that be a cultural victory to bring that back?
Well, I'm a big fan of the R word because I myself act retarded all the time and I'm proud of it. In fact, I would actually probably get retarded tattooed across my back because I think it is a cultural victory. I'd love to be able to say what's on my mind. I think, yeah, I mean, well, these guys are retarded as an example. So we have panelists that are retarded. So yeah, I love the R word. I'm rated R totally. And I think that it's a freeing thing. It's a way to express the way we express things in the 80s and the 90s without problem. Like, you can go watch Bill Murray comedy movies and they're great because
but people used to hang on, people used to use the N word 30, 40 years ago, right? But then
I champion all the comedians
but that became something that was taboo in society because it was deemed to be very offensive to black people. The R word,
I don't think it is.
The use of the R word is deemed to be very offensive to people who are genuinely mentally impaired. And they don't like it.
He's making a soy face, like he's like freaking out over there.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You just said it's justified
there's a difference
for white people
between
to say the
taboo
N-word?
and what's wrong, morally wrong. I don't equate the two.
Taboos are not equated. Your response.
So here's my question. Do you think that Jesus would say the N-word, and do you think Jesus would say the R slur?
Jesus does say jokes and slurs in the Gospels, yes. He talks about...
So Jesus would say the R slur in the N-word?
equivalents in his day.
So Jesus
he calls
would
people
say
dogs.
the N-word and the R slur.
He
That's
calls
not
people
the same
dogs,
thing as the N-word and the R slur.
reference to you guys' vice.
Parker, do people in your friendship group ever use the R word?
No, never.
It's just a taboo word.
Yes, I think it's incredibly wrong to use. You shouldn't use it.
People in your friend group use the N-word.
And out of interest, Parker, what is your rationale personally for not using it?
I think it's incredibly harmful. In the same way that we don't use other sorts of slurs because they're harmful, I think that we shouldn't use this word because it's harmful.
Hurt my feelings, should you not argue?
So no, specifically, we're saying it meets a threshold of harm, right?
Whose
because
threshold?
the R slur and the
whose threshold?
My threshold.
Your threshold. So it's subjective. That's a subjective argument. Thank you. So it's only your personal subjective taste.
We're obviously we're talking about
if it's your personal subjective taste, then it can also be mine.
Okay, well then Parker, it doesn't reach our threshold, Parker.
All right, Andrew,
it doesn't reach our threshold, Parker.
I understand, Andrew. That would be your perspective on the matter, but given my perspective, I would say that meets my threshold. Are you saying it's okay to use the N-word, Andrew?
And it's subjective, and it doesn't work as an argument.
Wait,
yeah. Parker. Is it ever okay to use the word retard?
No. Is it okay for you to use the N-word?
Is it even okay to use the word retard to reference the word retard?
I think it's wrong to use it in general. Can you please use?
Can you answer my question, and then I'll answer yours? I promise.
I said it's wrong.
Is it okay to refer to the word retard if you're explaining the word retard?
Say R slur.
I mean, getting a slur tattooed across your back? That's where we're at? It's not even a joke. Jay is just telling you exactly who he is at this point. And then, this is the part that really kills me. He tries to drag Jesus into it. He's claiming Jesus used slurs in the Gospels? Like, wait, so the guy famous for hanging out with the outcasts and healing the sick would be totally fine with mocking people for their disabilities? Give me a break. That's not theology. That's just using religion as a hall pass to be a jerk. Then you have Parker, who just says, look, I don't use the word because it causes harm. Simple, right? But immediately, Andrew and Jay jump down his throat calling it subjective. Okay, sure. Everything's subjective if you try hard enough. But Jay literally just said he wanted the word on his skin forever, and nobody made him defend that. Parker says, hey, let's not hurt people. And suddenly, he's the one on trial. It's a total double standard. They're not even trying to have an honest debate. They're just trying to make empathy look like a weakness.
So you can't, okay, so you can't even use, so just the word itself. Okay, so here's the thing that's so funny about this, right? It's like, ultimately, when we say retarded, so I wouldn't use the N-word. Here's why. when I say that if somebody says the N-word, what ends up ultimately happening, there's not really too much in the way of equivocation there. Retard is not actually referring to retarded people, though. Basically, ever. Nobody ever says it, Parker, to refer to somebody who's actually retarded.
That doesn't change it. Hold up. If you're using the N-word to refer to a white person, it's still wrong. Would you use the N-word to refer to a white person?
I mean, in some circumstances, I think that you can use it in a comedic sense. That's hilarious. Sure.
You think white people using the N-word is okay in any circumstance?
Yeah, comedic senses especially. I think it's fine.
That's disgusting as fuck. Do it.
Oh my God!
Is
that an argument?
Basis.
Is that an argument, Parker?
Wait, me calling something disgusting because I think it goes against my moral intuition?
You think it's disgusting? Okay, you're right. Homosexuality is disgusting because it goes against my moral intuition.
Let me bring in Danny.
Can I respond?
Hang on. Let me bring in Danny. This is what NBC said, NBC News, when they covered the return of the R word. They said, while its use has percolated in the comedy world for years, only recently has the word and discussion of its return become more normalized. That is fueled in no small part by a sense that the tide has turned both culturally and politically against those seeking to keep the word out of the popular lexicon. But the battle lines are not as clear as one might think. And there's no doubt that's true. I mean, what is your view about this?
I mean, we got to remind ourselves why people like us are against use of the R word, and especially in public places, right? Yeah. It's because it was a term, I believe, like technical term for mentally disabled people, and we don't want to demean those people or accidentally offend people that have children or relatives or friends that are mentally disabled, right? And so it has that connotation. Unlike the word dog, when Jesus used the term dog, right? There's no such connotation, right? You'll have to be reminded of why it's considered to be a slur, right? I mean, it's like you forgot.
Yeah, but so is like the word. So is the word moron. So is the word moron. The word moron had a really negative societal connotation, and it still does. And people use it all the time, just in lieu of the word retard. They'll just say you're a moron instead of you're a retard. It's like hang on. You're begging. Hang on. You're picking and choosing. Yeah, you're picking and choosing which thing to be selectively offended by. You're not. I don't. So, like, let me ask you guys this honestly. I want you guys to answer me fucking honestly. Does the word retard actually offend you?
Yes. I think it's fucked up for you to use. I've been very clear.
Does it actually offend you, Danny, when somebody says the word retard?
Yeah, it does.
So if Zach Galifianakis,
especially in public places and professional places.
So Zach Galifianakis does some when he does comedy and he does a movie and he makes a joke and says retort. Is that also bad?
I'm confused the context of what you're referencing. Is he specifically trying to refer to the R slur? If he is, then yes.
So now the
he's trying to allude to the word retard.
I don't. Okay, then yes, that's wrong.
Yes, it's wrong.
I thought you were saying like someone. I thought you were.
That references another word now is wrong, like moron.
So specifically, in terms of the one I thought you were referencing, like someone responding to an argument. I thought it's the particular term that you were using.
Zach Galifianakis in a comedy movie saying retort as a joke instead of retard.
So if your friend
I think that's incredibly fucked up to use.
Okay, so now also any word that refers to the word retard is now wrong, like moron.
I think if you're intentionally specifically trying to use a word right in place specifically of the R slur, specifically as to create the same type of outcome as the R slur.
So any word that could refer to that
particular intention. I think that particular intention would.
But you can't say the word moron. So now you can't
say the word moron.
You don't necessarily have that intention. It doesn't meet the particular threshold of harm as well.
Spiraling into insanity because
that's not. I gave two conditions to separate it.
Honestly, what are we even doing here? Andrew Wilson is sitting there arguing that the N-word is totally fine in a comedic sense, which, okay, tells you exactly who you're dealing with. But then, he tries to act like Parker is the one being irrational for feeling disgusted. It's that classic annoying, is that an argument? Defense. Like, yeah, Andrew, human decency usually is a pretty good argument. Then it just devolves into this weird, pedantic word game about the R-slat. Andrew and Jay are basically doing linguistic gymnastics to see how close they can get to saying it without officially saying it. They're bringing up Zach Galifianakis and the word retort like they've cracked some secret code. It's so transparent. They're trying to paint Parker as this sensitive, selectively offended person, but the whole time they're just dodging the fact that they want permission to be jerks. It's not about logic or lexicons or whatever fancy word they want to use. It's just them being edgy for the sake of it, and then acting shocked when someone thinks it's gross. It's exhausting to watch, seriously.
I gave two conditions. Wait, it being subjective is not a critique.
Are arbitrary.
Wait. It being subjective is not a critique. That's not a critique against the view.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
No, it's not. How is that a critique?
Yes, it is. If something is purely subjective, then I can come with all the same claims with all the same force, and there's no way to resolve the two. That's why purely subjective arguments fail.
Wait, there not being a resolution, particularly between the moral disagreement of me and you, isn't a critique particularly of my perspective.
Then you can't say anything is morally wrong. There's no ought from an is.
Wait, I can say something is morally wrong under my perspective. You're misunderstanding subjective morality.
You're not giving
you can't
tell me why it's wrong morally, objectively, if I can also counter it.
Can I ask you this question? Do you think that morality is true dependent upon God's stance or independent of God's stance?
Ultimately, it's grounded in God.
Okay, so it's subjective.
God is a subject. Yeah, God is a subject.
No, that's not a subjective argument. The argument.
Wait, God is a
the argument is that it's objective.
God's
the fact that a person makes an argument doesn't make the argument subjective. Your argument is pure subjectivism.
Is God a subject?
Two different things. It's a category error.
Is God a subject?
How's that a category error?
It's two different categories. A subjective argument
for
ethics
we're
is
two different people too, right?
Different than a person who's a subject making an argument. Those are two different.
The point is that God is a subject. He's not an object, right? We're subjects, right? We understand morality in terms of God. In fact,
you're equivocating again.
Look, can we bring this back to the point here?
No, you want to run away.
That's idiotic.
Wait, God having his particular view on morality is no different than me having my view because we're both subjects.
The argument is that it's an objective.
What is it, Jay? What is the
morality.
subject? Jay, what is the subject?
You're equivocating on the fact that a subject is making an argument versus the argument being subjective.
No, you said
that's a philosophical category error.
Jay,
this is like talking to children.
I asked you.
It's a category error, you idiot.
I gave you the youth throw dilemma. I asked you if it's true dependent upon a stance or independent of a stance. You said it's dependent upon God's stance. That's subjective by definition.
I said that the argument for Christian ethics is not a subjectivist ethic. And because God is a subject, it doesn't make the system subjective. That's an equivocation
error. What do you think subjective means, Jay? What does subjective mean? What does subjective
Purely
mean?
relative to the individual.
Okay, is God an individual?
True dependent upon a stance.
Is God an individual?
That doesn't mean that the ethic is subjective.
Just
It's an objective ethic. You're just rephrasing. You're substituting the word individual for subject.
I'm asking you if God is an individual. Yes or no, coward?
That doesn't mean that the ethics is subjective.
Yes
that's
or no?
System
Who's running now?
It's an epistemological argument that's different.
Let me bring Andrew. Andrew, you wanted to get in here.
Jay's getting cooked, so he's got to get him out. Jay's getting cooked.
You're making a dumb mistake of language.
Hang on.
Look, Jay is absolutely spiraling here. He spent the whole debate acting like he's the only adult in the room. Then Parker drops the Euthyphro dilemma on him, and he just breaks. It's one question. Is morality dependent on God's stance or not? The second Jay says it's grounded in God, he's finished. He just admitted his entire moral framework is based on the stance of a subject. That's subjective, by his own logic, and you can see the panic. Jay starts hiding behind these big, fancy-sounding terms like category error and equivocation, but he's not actually saying anything. He's just throwing vocabulary at the wall to see what sticks. It's embarrassing. When you have to resort to telling your opponent, this is like talking to children, you've already lost the argument. That's the universal white flag of someone who's been backed into a corner. Parker stays totally chilled out, just pointing out the obvious. Jay is getting cooked, and honestly, he really is. He walked right into a trap he should have seen coming miles away, and he's got nothing but insults to get him out of it.